everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Bradley Games, a catalog, 1936 to 1937. I was at the Association of Puzzles and Games, or Games and Puzzles International, AGPI, and I bought a couple of these catalogs to look at. This is a reprint of the catalog, not the original, and I just find it fascinating. I really do. So I'm going to show you through the book, show you some of these older games. I went and looked them up online too to see if I can find pictures of them, some more pictures of them on BoardGameGeek.com, which is the biggest database. Many of these games don't exist there. So, I mean, I guess you go hunt them down somewhere. But I just find this a fascinating look at the past, 90 years ago, basically. So let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look here from Bradley Games, 1936 to 1937. There's going to be games in here, but it's more than games. They're like paint, jigsaw puzzles, dolls, and playthings. So as we take a look in here, we'll start. It shows their New York sales room. And there's 76 years of service. And they're saying this in 1936. There's a factory that makes the games. Okay, so let's start with their big piece. They're going to really put the effort on pushing this easy money. And thus begins, folks, 90 years ago, pushing games where you roll and move around the board and get money. And that's kind of sort of what this is here. Easy money, which stuck around for a while. I've actually played it. But you're moving around and, well, getting money. So that's something people want to do. Remember, this game is out here in the 30s during the Great Depression. Here we have Play Safe. Play Safe is a game where you need to get your car and a pedestrian home safely without causing problems. Teaching safety, educational game. Harlem, on the other hand, is like bingo. 4-player bingo where you're just going to cover up your side with chips as different numbers are rolled. I'm not sure why it's called Harlem. Pirate and Traveler. Now this is a gorgeous board traveling around the world, moving around as a pirate. This game seems to have lasted quite a while. People like these ideas of moving from spot to spot. I didn't even bother really trying to find this horse race game because it's called, well, Horse Race. But it looks like a move, game, and roll. Fibber McGee. So Fibber McGee is a old-timey radio show, Fibber McGee and Molly. And this is, you know, the intellectual property of that. It sounds like a cooperative Mad Libs where one person's reading a story and everybody else just kind of just flips a card over at certain points and fills in the blank. Silliness. G-Men, government men. The FBI type game, very popular here in this era. They're going after the gangsters. Spoof sounds like a early version of Spoons as you're trying to collect 4 different cards of the same type. Here we have Roulette and, the senior combination board. Like a whole mix of things, checkers and chess and a whole bunch of things. That's started many years ago, still popular today. Liners and Transports. Here you're transporting stuff from one spot to another. Really neat looking map here. And again, a lot of this stuff about collecting goods and sending them, very educational, moving around the board. And this, it looks like this board can also be flipped. Like here it has US in the middle, but it looks like you can move that around. Bingo. A lot of gambling was illegal at this time, but also bingo here, at least in this era, was marketed towards kids. We look at it now as an old person game. Hint, some of them were kids when it was out, right? So they're still playing it today. Badminton sets for home. And then we got the Steamer Quoits along with Sharpshooter Dart Game. I don't think this would be legal to sell now. Probably considered too dangerous. Horseshoe. And then Table Tennis. Now, if you watched our last video, you'll notice that we said it was called ping pong. Here it's called table tennis. I wonder when that nomenclature changed. Then we have chess and checker boards. And then you can buy the chessmen separately. Some of them are expensive. This is $12.50. Wow, in the 30s? Those must have been like amazing, amazing pieces. Backgammon boards. And then for some reason in the middle of board games, they're like, oh, also you can get dolls and, cut out dolls. Back to games. Mental Whoopee, Bridget duplicate boards. Here's anagrams. Now this is a pre-Scrabble era, you got to remember, before Scrabble came out. But these word games are still popular. Croquet. Playing it on the floor or on the table. And then a mixture of games. I suspect these games are all the same. It's hard to tell, these different races. But with the race board there and you're moving down, again, called Horse Race or Pennant Yacht Race or Airplane Express. I think the board I got a picture of was the yacht race one, but I suspect they all are very similar. Three Musketeers. Now, this game had already been around for a while. As far as I can tell, looking this up online, it is a version, a newer version of the Fox and the Geese abstract style game. Here we got some weird things like Egg and Spoon Race, which I have done in my life at a party. Not maybe this one. Gypsy Teller's Fortune. Honeybee Game. Wheel of Fortune, but it's more roulette. More combinations of stuff. But now we got some smart card games for every occasion. This one's called Whoopee. It calls it African Golf originally. I guess it's a card game, maybe from Africa. Logomaki, a game about teaching people how to spell. Scavenger mixes bridge and poker. Wall Street, another card game. Card games for adults are very popular. In fact, some of the things here, like these games are for adults. Popular for adults. Like board games aren't just for kids anymore. I feel like nothing has changed. I'm still trying to say that sort of thing. And this rummy here with an E instead of a Y, like you can play 11 or 12 different games with this one. All right, over here we got a peg solitaire game, Airplane and Express. Like I said, continuing this, these big boards with tons of locations on them, moving around, being educational, learning about this sort of thing. The Radio Amateur Hour here. Hey, do you want to have your own radio show or be your own comedian? And or also just roll and move? I'm not quite sure if you're actually a party game. I don't know. I don't know why I'm talking so much about this one, but I just thought it looked interesting. A whole page here of tiddlywinks. But what I really find interesting on this page is India. So this is clearly Parcheesi, but it's called India. And I've done some research. I went online and looked, and I cannot find like when the name changed, like when it was Parcheesi based on a popular Indian game, but when the name changed here from India to Parcheesi. Lotto games. Again, you can notice there's a lot of gambling themes in here. Magnetic fish pond, magnetic jack straws, magnets. Novelty games, I think is their way of saying like dexterity games. This one here, you're throwing these little discs on the face. Down and Out looks interesting, where you roll a ball down. This looks like a preview to a Chuck E. Cheese game. Wiggle Waggle is with a top, where you're spinning the top and trying to land in different holes. So there's a lot of these different games where you just, dexterity style games. Over here, more of these novelty games. Bunny in the Hole, Spinette, Twin Target, Bull in a China Shop, Bean Bags. Over here, Donkey Party, which now we call Pin the Tail on the Donkey. This one I'm really fascinated with, Rumble Tumble Circus, which looks like a two-dimensional stacking game where you stack on a board. I could not find this anywhere. I found a very small picture on a for sale website. I don't know why I'm so fascinated by this one, but that just looks interesting. Hee-haw! Box hockey, Duck on the Rock, Pigs and Clover. Again, very popular genre here. And that's pretty much it then for games. I'll just show you some of the other stuff in here. The Jigsaw puzzles. Here we see the farms. On this page, we got trucks. Oh, never mind. I forgot. There's some card games here. Dr. Busby. As far as I can tell, it's just like a version of a whole bunch of games. Like, hey, I got, it says Old Maid and other games like that. Scouting, very similar to that. Authors. It's amazing how popular this Authors game was, and no one today has probably heard of it. Tommy Twinkle's Number Game. And then the Top series and Famous series. These are like very common card games. And more board games. I was wrong earlier. Here we have The Adventure of the Nebs. I don't know who these are. But these are based on cartoons or comics that kids would read. Winnie Winkle, a popular thing of that. You can see that these games look like, the typical game that we think of now of, this is when games went trashy. Or Smitty, or Harold Teen. Harold Teen, popular comic that you probably haven't heard of. But again, this is something that they're trying to get kids to play. Hey, you read these comics, we'll also play these games. And you can see all the different ones. Little Orphan Annie, that one we know, Alice in Wonderland, and a bunch of other, this whole series you can get here. The game of Skippy and his friends here. And then Uncle Wiggily. Uncle Wiggily, this is the one that has passed time. There's some of you might be like, oh, I played Uncle Wiggily as a kid. I know I did. My grandmother had it. And this one kind of lasted test of time. Again, just moving around a board and stuff. Crokinole, which was not its own board. Crokinole here mixed with a bunch of other stuff. And you can see these combination games are very, very popular. Uncle Sam's Mail, moving around the map. A treasure hunt game. Here's Peter Rabbit in the Cabbage Patch. A bunch of travel games moving around, abstract stuff. Then you can just buy toy money, so you can play with money. Remember, it's the 30s. Shooting games. And then we're kind of out of games for real this time. A bunch of puzzles, blocks, a lot of peg stuff. There's a lot of peg boards here. Look at all these peg boards that show. This one looks really cool. A pyramid peg board. Beads, a lot of, I mean, some of this stuff could easily be sold in things today. Like you look at that and you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Some blocks in a cart. Still very popular. This stuff looks like it would be sold at a math supply stores. Here's crayons and color sets that you can get, again, based on cartoons like Popeye. Painting and crayon outfits. Lots of this stuff, a lot of painting stuff. Here's crayons. It's Color Tone and Big Animal and Big Boy. No Crayola yet. And then some more crayon boxes. Popeye. You want little Annie Orphan things? But before we end here, we'll show some badminton. And on the very back, Ballaroo. So another game that they're trying to sell. This is, it makes the back cover. This one is very interesting to me. I don't think I've ever played it or seen it, but I mean, it's $4. So this would be a fun one. I think I would like to play this just to see how it works. Yep, and there you go. I found that to be a lot of fun. It's up to you if you find that interesting or not. If you do like finding these old games and interesting old things like that, AGPI, look it up online. Gamesandpuzzles.org. They would love to have you join and you can hunt down these old games. I'm more do it on a casual level, but I find this stuff to be fascinating and I hope you did too. Alrighty, well, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel and you've been watching some really old games here on the Dice Tower.